Hello everyone, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw on February 9th, 2015. And, outside of, outside of a few segments on Raw here, I didn't think this week's Raw was all that good, to begin with. I didn't really, outside of the tension that they built up between Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, their situations that they put them in weren't good to begin with. The whole aspect of them teaming up together and everything like that, it's two faces and everything, but those situations didn't really play off all that well, in my own personal opinion. I mean, you had them going up against Kane and Big Show at the beginning, and then of course that's where the dissension happened, and that was okay. I like that. You need to build some kind of tension, even though both of them are faces, between the two of them going into a match at Fastlane. So the tension needs to be built there, and that at least came off well. But the whole aspect of putting them into a 5-on-2 handicap match later on in the show, it didn't really, this whole, they're trying to interject the whole aspect of the Authority not liking either one of these guys going into the main event at WrestleMania, even though one of them will. And it honestly, it just does not seem to come off all that well. It makes it feel like they don't really have a plan for, say, Seth Rollins going into the WrestleMania pay-per-view, because he doesn't really have, or even Fastlane to begin with. Outside of the whole that they can interject Dolph Ziggler and Ryback and Eric Rowan back in there at any given point in time, which they did later on in the show at the main event with them causing the distraction that cost the Authority members the 5-on-2 handicap match. That can at least be some kind of plan. The whole aspect of making Seth Rollins look extremely strong going into anything like that, with how he took out Ryback and everything, even though they didn't make Ryback look weak by losing a match or anything in that sense, they at least put Seth Rollins over strong in that case. But where are they going with it? And the answer is, I don't know. Where do you go with that? Especially with Seth Rollins, you would expect him to have some kind of a big match going into WrestleMania, but it doesn't seem like they have anything going for him in any way, shape, or form at this time, unless they try to interject some kind of triple threat or something for the main event. I don't know. It just doesn't really feel like they have any kind of set plan. Outside of maybe that they're just going to keep it as Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Speaking of that, the promo that Paul Heyman gave for basically saying what's going to happen to either Roman Reigns or Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, whoever wins the match. Typical Paul Heyman, great promo. And so, he knows how to put it. He knows how to put someone over, yet saying it doesn't matter how much, how much they overcome or how much they look like this or look like that. It's, he can put someone over without necessarily putting them over, with keeping his guy over. Though with Brock Lesnar, it's not too hard. You just say what you gotta say. In that case, again, another match with Bray Wyatt and Dolph Ziggler also happened on the show. Again, really good match, fun match to watch. They're definitely keeping Bray Wyatt over in this case and making him look strong, and of course the continuation with him cutting another promo later on in the show, the vignette from however they're setting that, or from wherever it's being set up at, but the another vignette, basically what you would think with how he's talking about not being afraid of death and everything like that. You figure he's making his promo towards the Undertaker and leading into a match with the Undertaker at WrestleMania, assuming Undertaker can even go in any way, shape, or form and actually perform a match at WrestleMania. But they're building the storyline there in case that is the actual case, and more likely they already know whether or not Undertaker can actually do a match at WrestleMania, because they're actually going along with these vignettes and promos setting up a potential storyline between the two of them. So that, again, that came off really good. I thought that was actually a really good portion of the show as well. And the other actual portion of the show that I actually felt like came off really well again was how they portrayed Rusev and up against John Cena. And they're really making Rusev look strong. I don't know if they're gonna put him over and actually having him win a match, but they are definitely putting him over in a strong way, leading into the Fastlane match. And some are saying more than likely it'll be a WrestleMania match as well, and they're in there as well. So we'll see where they continue on the storyline. I like the aspect that the two of them get their physical altercation going into at this point, and the fact that they're putting Rusev over leads him being strong going into Fastlane. Hopefully that match is not your typical DQ type finish. Maybe they have Cena pass out or something like that in the match, although they play up the eye injury even more, like they played up this week with how Cena's eye is. Maybe that will cost them the match or something in that sense. Maybe something that doesn't make Rusev look weak in any way, but doesn't necessarily put him way over the top at this point in time. Though I wouldn't mind it in this case. I've liked Rusev as a heel character, and it was a good way, and it's definitely been a good way of going. This is definitely probably one of the definitely one of his best programs going on at this point in time. It's not necessarily just about Russia versus USA. It's kind of just a blood feud in that sense, and it's come off pretty decently so far. So we'll see where they go along with this. The continuations of the tag teams being split up, I like how they're going with the Cody Rhodes or Stardust and Goldust split up, where it seems as if Stardust is getting way and way out there, and you have Goldust trying to bring him back in. And hopefully this will lead in maybe not a match at Fastlane, but maybe a match at WrestleMania between the two of them would actually probably be more suited. Their feud's actually coming off quite well as well. And I guess I have to retract that. Actually, there was a fair amount on Raw that I actually did like. Outside of the where they're going with the Divas in this case, or at least with Paige and Nikki Bella, they're not really going anywhere with it. It was just another match this week between Paige and Brie, and they're just trying to put over Paige in that sense, and putting her over strong going into the pay-per-view to make her look more of a threat to Nikki's Divas title. So overall, maybe I have to retract what I said at the beginning. Was Raw actually wasn't that bad to begin with. I didn't necessarily like where they were going with the whole with Seth Rollins in general and the Authority members in that sense, but it did. For the most part, the rest of the show did come off quite well. I also really liked the segment with how Miz is treating Mizdow, and how they're portraying that, and that potential split up coming up here in the near future. When will they actually do that? I liked how Miz came off in the match, basically trying to make him still do his personal assistant type stuff while in the match, and of course interrupting him when he was trying to do a maneuver that Miz usually does. It came off really well, and I actually did like where they went with that as well. Of course, also you had the Triple H promo about Sting and whether or not he was going to accept the face-to-face confrontation for the Fastlane pay-per-view. And again, I actually liked what they did there. You have Sting. You keep Sting in that mysterious light going on. He doesn't necessarily say a word, even though you have the you have the words that I accept in there. You don't actually have them speaking anything in any way, shape, or form. Of course, they had a fake Sting going out there this week. They didn't have the obviously they didn't have the real Sting going out there, kind of playing off what they did in WCW. They did the fake Sting thing every now and again, trying to just spook everyone, and it came off really well. I liked what they pulled here. The video package that they had was actually really well done. I liked how they basically took Triple H's backstage interviews, or his interviews with Michael Cole, and then just like sporadically putting in the Sting face paint in there, and so and little nuances like that. I actually did like. I thought it came off really well leading into that Fastlane that Fastlane portion of the storyline for Triple H and Sting, and that will be it'll be an interesting one with how they build the storyline going into WrestleMania. Obviously, they built it going to Fastlane. Now, how are they going to build it going into WrestleMania? How will they look? How often will Sting actually show up? And everything in that sense will be the more interesting thing of how they build everything going into WrestleMania between the two of them. So, like I said before, outside of a few things, like I said, I don't like where they're necessarily going storyline-wise with the Authority members. And of course, I didn't really care where they were going with the Paige and Nikki Bella storyline either, or really nothing at all with it. Most of Raw was fairly entertaining. I mean, you also had Tyson Kidd and Cesaro out there. In the tag match with the Usos, you have that kind of tension between them, and of course now with Natalya and Naomi in there, that kind of played off at least a little bit in here. I enjoyed the match between the two of them, and it was definitely a good way of potentially setting up for a tag team title match as well for that storyline. So, overall, Raw was actually relatively good this week. I did actually thoroughly enjoy it. The more, I guess when I was initially watching the show, I wasn't necessarily liking it, but the way that, I started talking about it, it wasn't really that bad. It wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but it came off pretty, darn good in this case. So that's my review this week for Monday Night Raw, and I thank you guys for watching.